Hi everyone, my name is Brianna Taylor and I'm the founder of No More Rounds and Gun Violence. I started No More Rounds in November of 2013 after I witnessed the tragic death of my friend Dimitri Presley. Just to give you guys a little background on what happened, I had attended a party with him. His family was throwing the party. It was a fundraiser, I believe, for him, and everything was going well. The party was cool, the music was jumping, people were dancing, it was lit. And apparently there were two guys that tried to sneak in the party. They got kicked out because Mitri had asked them, let me see your wrist. The entry was like you would pay and you would pay and get stamped. And they hadn't gotten paid. They hadn't gotten stamped because they didn't pay. So they got escorted out, and then I believe that they paid. They finally, paid the money, and got stamped, got in. But while they were there, they were acting reckless. It got a little rowdy after that. At the time, I was at the bar. I really hadn't been feeling well, but I wanted to support. So I went. I was sitting at the bar. I probably was eating French fries because I'm fat and I eat all the time. And out of nowhere, a fight breaks out, and I'm like, fuck. My heart sank because I really just wanted to be a smooth vibe at night, and it had just turned to the complete opposite. So it was a little after midnight when the fight broke out. I saw, Mitri and his family defending themselves. After the fight, Mitri had a gash above his eye. So he was heated, pacing back and forth. We got his cut cleaned up, but it was still gushing blood. So the plan was to take him to the hospital closer to home, because he lived in South Jersey with his family, but Philly and South Jersey are buddy. So South Jerseyans just go to Philly when they want to turn up. So that's where the party was. But our plan was to take him back to South Jersey to get his cut looked at. We were walking down the street. It was pure chaos in the street, but we were walking down the streets, get our cars and things, and there was two random guys just standing on a block further down. I didn't think anything of it. My only concern was just to get him in a car to the hospital, get cleaned up so we could just sleep it off and just wake up tomorrow and everything be okay. But apparently his older brother recognized the guys. I wasn't in the fight, so I didn't know who set it off. He recognized them, and he was guiding him and helping him walk because Mitri had been losing a lot of blood because of his cut, and he was also tipsy. So he was really just trying to lead him along the way to the car. But he whispered to him, he's like, "Bro, I'm gonna need you to run," and kind of pushed him, nudged him a little bit. And all I remember is one of the guys having his hand kind of in his pants, and the other guy was like, "Yo, ain't that him?" And the guy who had his hand in his pants said, "Yeah," and he pulled out the gun and started shooting. By that time, once he started shooting, I saw Mitri and his brother running to the other side of the street. I saw a few people dropping to the ground. Me, I was frozen. I couldn't move. The only thing that could move was my head. So I standing there like a fucking idiot. I'm just watching the guy as he's shooting at Mitri and his brother, and I couldn't move. But after hearing the first couple shots, I finally kind of blinked it back into reality. Brianna, you need to run. You need to run. Run. So I finally ran up the block, and then I turned around and I was like, wait, I'm running the wrong way. Like, Mitri is that way, as if like I'm some type of human shield that could protect him from the bullets. And by the time I ran to the other side of the street where he was, it was too late. He was already on the ground, and I saw his older brother laying across him, screaming. And then I saw his other brothers and his friends running down. Everyone kind of just piled on top of him, screaming. From where I was standing, I didn't know exactly where he was hit. I didn't understand the severity of the situation as it was happening. It wasn't until like I saw them like carrying him by his arms and legs, like his head like leaned back, having no life in his eyes, that it really like hit me. Like, this situation really just happened, and Mitri is now gonna have to fight for his life. At that moment, I started screaming his name. That's when the tears came, and I really understood like what was going on. When I finally got to the hospital, we all just sat in the emergency room. I dipped off to go to the bathroom. I called my grandma, told her where I was at, what was happening, and like it's crazy because like she had just met Mitri like a week before, like all this stuff was going on. She was hurt, because I'd like to say like my grandma definitely had a soft spot for him when she finally met him, and I could tell like in her voice that she was very concerned for me and for him. The next day, his mom woke up early to go to the hospital to go see him, and when she came back, she warned us of his condition, that he was bandaged up because he got shot twice in the hip, and then he got shot on each arm, and the bullet that essentially ended up killing him was a bullet that was in his head. So she warned us that he was bandaged up, there was a lot of blood, but she told us that he was there. Like, he was still there, he was still hanging on. When we got to the hospital, everyone got a chance to see him. The immediate family went first, and then his friends went. When it was my turn, I wanted to go inside. Everything was like, Bree, you gotta be strong, you gotta go inside. But as his brother was walking with me, I was resisting, kind of, because I wasn't ready to see what I was about to see. Nothing his mom said could have prepared us for what we saw when we went into his room to speak to him and spend time with him for 5 minutes. But when I got in there, I wanted to break down. I really wanted to break down. I took his hand, and I felt him squeezing my hand. He knew I was there. I told him that he needed to pull through. There was so much that we had planned, and he needed to fight his way through this, so everything we had talked about could come into fruition. And I told him that I would be back tomorrow, as in the next day. I kissed him on the cheek, felt him getting a little cold. At that time, I didn't really know what that meant, that he was getting cold. I was just happy to finally see him, even though I wasn't happy about the state that he was in. Before I actually saw him, I called my grandmother. I told her what was happening. And she told me, she said, Brianna, if you guys don't leave the hospital before it gets dark, stay there. And I didn't listen. We got back to his house around like maybe 8ish, 7:30, 8ish. I waited around about a half an hour. And I really just, I know I should have stayed, but I really just wanted to be home. I wanted to be with my grandma. I needed time. I really just needed to go for a walk. I needed time to myself to really process what was happening, what had happened. When I got home, I called his Mitri's older brother's fiance to let her know that I had made it, and apparently about an hour after I had left, his mom came home and said, you have until midnight to say your goodbyes. And when she told me that, I lost it. I lost it in my car because I was mad at myself for leaving. Like, who cares if I had a meeting the next day? I should have stayed there. Talking about coming to see him after work. No! I should have stayed. And I didn't. And I was angry because I couldn't say goodbye. I went in the house. I told my grandma what happened. She cried with me at the front door because the minute I walked in, I fell to the ground. I don't think I've ever experienced something so heartbreaking, ever. The day before his funeral is when the seed for No More Rounds was planted. I was on my way from the mall to my sorority chapter meeting, and I said, I'm not the only one who has experienced this. Not the only one. There are other people out here that have experienced the same pain that I'm feeling right now and have somehow coped with it, accepted it, whatever terminology you want to use. They have pushed through, and I want to hear this story. So I hit up my Sands, one of my friends, and I asked them if they would help me. If they would help me put together a documentary of people who have similar stories, direct situations of gun violence, and people who may not be directly affected but want to help reduce the senseless violence happening in our urban communities. So the minute they said they would help me, that's how No More Rounds came to be. It sucks that it had to take such a tragic situation for No More Rounds to be founded, or for even for myself to really want to bring about change when it comes to this cause. I had never experienced anything like this. Gun violence was never crossed my mind. Like, yeah, I hear people getting murdered all the time, but again, if it doesn't affect you directly, it doesn't hit home for you until you have to bury someone, until you have to see someone laying on the ground, bleeding out. And it sucks that, again, No More Rounds had to be founded because of that, and it sucks that people don't think to really be more proactive in their community until something like this happens, it really sucks, and it's really unfortunate. But that's the reason why I'm doing this. That's why I founded No More Rounds, so that we could share the documentary with people all over the world. Primarily, like, our focus is our country, is urban communities within our country, and going around to different schools, high schools, colleges, different community organizations and centers around urban areas, and just promote the documentary, but promote the change that we want to see in our urban communities, so our youth don't have to be affected by this. And not even just our youth, our entire community. Women my age, young adults, older adults, elderly people. Like, gun violence is plaguing our communities, and things have got to change. Mitri was 21. There are situations where children are far younger. Caskets just keep getting smaller and smaller. The Black community has got to rise up and start policing our own streets, so that no one has to feel the pain that people who are directly affected by gun violence have to feel. It's not a good feeling at all. I, for one, can finally attest to that. It hurts. We're coming up on the 4th anniversary of Mitri's death, No More Rounds founding. 4 years, not seeing his smile, not hearing his goofy laugh, not being in his presence. November 17th is always hard for me. Being in Philly is always hard for me. I had thought I'd gotten over it until I went to Philly last month, and I was at Jefferson Hospital. I saw the signs and I was like, wait a minute. Mood completely shifted, because I remembered sitting there waiting to see him that night and the next day, walking down that corridor slowly to his room, reluctant to walk in, because I was afraid of what I was about to see. And all I really wanted was for him to heal and come home. But that didn't happen. He died in that hospital. And the minute I realized that I was even in that area, walking along the streets of the hospital, instantly got numb. The same numbness and emptiness that I felt the weeks that passed. One thing I will say though, by starting No More Rounds, I do believe that I've found my calling, because with the production of the documentary, going around to different schools, talking to the youth, talking to my peers, people my age, conducting programming on those sites and engaging with everyone. The feedback that we've gotten reaffirms that, my experience with gun violence was not in vain. And that by continuing to work with No More Rounds, or work on No More Rounds, pushing No More Rounds, real change is happening, and it's going to increase the harder we go. My team and I, we have big plans for No More Rounds. We were on a hiatus, as you've probably seen on our Instagram and on our latest YouTube video. We were gone for a little bit, but we are back and the ball is rolling. So make sure you follow at No More Rounds on Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like this video, Follow our Facebook page, facebook.com/no more rounds. Our Twitter, we kind of working on it, you know. But follow us on there too. Definitely be on the lookout for more updates on the movement, because the change starts with us. It starts with us. Peace.